So it's probably about time that someone issued a warning. That someone is me today. Okay? Issued a warning about AI and the wave of AI that I guess is here. I know a lot of people talk about how like, oh, AI isn't the future, it's here. I get that trope, I understand that. What I'm specifically talking about is the warning around using AI in your ads. And I'm sure you already know what I'm talking about. You've probably already seen this, but there's just this wave of AI slop that, again, like it's here, but it continues to grow. And I want to talk about specifically how I think people are using AI to, in some sense, shirk the responsibility of creating a quality customer journey, okay, an actual marketing, I don't want to use the word funnel, I'll call it like a marketing experience. And I get that AI can help you save time, but at what cost? You're saving time, but you're actually costing yourself more money when it comes to cost per lead, cost per acquisition, right? So in this video, I'm actually going to outline how not to use AI and how to actually use it effectively. All right, so getting right into it, I don't want this to be a dichotomy, if you will, of AI is bad or this is good and whatnot. There is a spectrum here. There are use case scenarios. There are ways to use AI effectively. I am in marketing, but I have always used AI through the lens of making money, if you will. But you don't make money just by going for a quick cash grab. I mean, I guess you can sometimes, but ultimately what I think my biggest priority is making sure that you have a quality product and you are building a healthy relationship with the consumer. Okay, now, when it comes to ads, we have to recognize right off the bat that there are cold audiences and warm audiences, and this is going to come up later on. This is very fundamental, right? But I think the biggest problem that exists right now is that business owners or brand owners, they are exploring AI, they're seeing the shiny objects. They're probably also tired of getting burned from people. I might say like agencies as a whole, maybe. Okay, again, that's a whole other separate subject. But they just want to have more autonomy and control over what they're doing. And they can see some of that potential with AI. However, what I have been seeing is this interesting contrast between all these brands and business owners that are using it and then general audiences, especially cold audiences that are using it, and they're getting very turned off by it, right? And in fact, this has actually been going on for some time. You are probably already like this. For example, when you read something that sounds like AI, you know, like there's the classic like M dashes, right? Like the lines that we now I'm not that used to be a really fundamental like copywriting tool, but now it's actually like a huge turnoff to audiences. There are certain vernacular like the word quietly or shifts. One I see in the wellness space a lot is the word broken. You are not broken. Like it's just these common tropes that I think audiences are, no, I shouldn't say think, I know that audiences are both consciously and unconsciously aware of. Now, to be honest, I do think that a lot of the hate that exists for AI copy, if you will, is to some degree I would say it's unjustified, but it really goes back to what I was saying about the cash grab. I think audiences, they're perceiving the use of AI as just a cash grab when in fact it's really just it can be a huge time-saving tool, but that really doesn't change the fact that audiences oftentimes are not responding well to it, and especially in the wellness space. Okay? And again, this is the space that I operate in, right? And this industry is so intimate, right? Like it's so close. It's your health. And it's very different than something like, I don't know, e-commerce or fashion, tech, if you will, right? The response, and actually a lot of people in the wellness space, that most people I might say, is they're operating like local businesses, right? So you don't want to burn the bridge with your local audience. In fact, most of your practice can and to some degree should be built on called product qualified leads, which means like referral based, word of mouth, right? And for every person that you burn, you're potentially burning multiple people, right? Because of that referral network. And to my point about the cash grab, I believe audiences, they are seeing some of that front end, the cold audiences. Like they're seeing this ad that is really like AI slop. If you've never heard that term before, it's just a term where AI is being used in a way that is really overt. And again, AI has gotten really good, very sophisticated, but there are some ads that are out there that audiences, like, they can just clearly see that it's AI, even if it's like a graphic or an animation that like would clearly just be drawn anyway. But the fact that people know that it can be made with AI, I just see a plethora of comments across multiple industries, and people are just getting really tired of it. And I believe the correlation there is that if you are shirking your work on the front end, they believe that you're going to be shirking your work on the back end, which again, to some degree is kind of unjustified, because you can have an amazing product, just be an amazing practitioner, have an amazing service or care plan or whatnot, but you're just like over here trying to save some time, and now you're essentially burning your audience. And going back to what I was saying about higher lead costs, right? It's like you're saving your time, but now because less and less people are responding to your ads, your costs are going up exponentially. Now, I do want to add that I actually believe that this wave or this flood could actually be getting, I'm not going to say worse to some degree. And again, there's pros and cons to this, right? So AI is getting better. It's more sophisticated. I'm not saying to never use AI in your ads. I will talk about the actual strategy here in a moment. I'm not saying to never use it, but as AI is getting better, consumers are also getting more sophisticated. And again, so much of marketing is unconscious. It's psychological, right? So when audiences are just scrolling and your job is to stop the scroll, you may have done that, you may have accomplished that, but oftentimes you might actually be attracting a more negative connotation of your business, all for the fact that it's just AI. And again, as I said, a lot of this is unconscious. So as AI gets better, consumer sophistication gets better. And I'm not saying that you can never use AI to create some awesome ads. I've actually done some phenomenal work with HeyGen and other certain ads, but again, there's like a continuum here. So it's like as time goes on, consumer behavior changes. Now, before I get into some very specific strategy that I know you can use in your business, I want to name another huge factor here, constraint, if you will, in the reason why people are using AI. Because yes, I know it can be faster, more convenient, but a subset of that is the fact that people do not want to make video. They think that they're not good on camera, and maybe you aren't, right? But you can get better. But the fact is just like it takes a lot more effort, right? And I'll talk more about that in just a little bit. But I really need to name that thing. Oftentimes, as a side note, outside of the strategy that I'm going to present here, I do believe in a hybrid approach to advertising, where it's like, hey, you have your paid traffic going out to reach people specifically, both cold and warm audiences, but then you also have an organic approach, and a big part of that is making video, so audiences can start to build a rapport with you, and video is undoubtedly the best way to do that. And I understand that AI can cut that time down or circumvent some of that effort, and at this point, to some degree, it's one of those hard advisements, strong encouragements that I make to people. I'm like, listen, you have to start making video or find someone in your business that can. For some people, it starts with just developing more confidence on camera. For others, it's about scheduling time. For others, it's about being a perfectionist and maybe having like the most high quality video. I've worked with so many people like this. This is, again, cross industry, but for years, I've worked with people, and I've actually been this person as well, where it's like, no, I can't make the video unless it's perfect. And there are ads literally now that like can crush of you just like talking to your camera walking down the street. All of those factors combined, it really presents two halves here, okay? Quality and quantity. Right? And we don't necessarily need to be obsessed with quality just yet. And in fact, if you focus on quantity at first, quantity will breed the quality. So try to identify where your barrier is when it comes to making video. Do you need to schedule more time? Again, going back to the quantity thing, if you make more videos, you will naturally get better at videos. There can definitely be some strategies to help you develop more confidence looking at the camera, using the word you, like definitely some big strategies there. And then of course, letting go of some of that perfectionism. Okay, now let's get into the actual strategy that I would use when using AI in your ads. Okay, so I'm going to give you the actual strategy that I've been using with clients. that I guess I would say crushes to some degree. I know it can get better. That's what marketing and ads are. It's like it's always testing against yourself. Test your way to success. But I want to give you the fundamental strategy that I've been using with practices and clients that actually uses AI, circumvents, or it saves a lot of time, but then also produces a positive return on ad spend. Okay, so step one. I know that I was just talking about video, but if you just want to get a jump start with your ads, you can definitely use images. And in some sense, it still is going to take some effort. You can't just give a prompt to, let's say, ChatGPT and create me an ad for this. You can try that maybe like 50 times. Out of 50 times, it will, maybe get a couple that hit. I know that there's definitely been times in the past where I've given prompts that are quite broad, and I've launched it out, and there was one ad that I remember throwing out there for a chiropractor, and that one ad, even though it was really broad, this was like, to some degree, this was a little bit earlier in my AI ad AI career, but this one ad cut lead costs by like 66%. It was incredible. And again, that was more luck, and I've built more strategy upon that. But here's where we want to start. Start with images. This allows you to get your offer out the door. Start out with 30 different images, okay? Well, what kind of images? I want you to focus on testing different emotional triggers, okay? So whatever your offer is oriented around, let's say it might be back pain or autoimmune. Even autoimmune can be a bit broad if we're talking about thyroid conditions or maybe gut health or whatnot. Again, I'm getting a little more granular there. Maybe hormones. Okay, whatever that is, you need to identify what the emotional sentiments are for it. So cold audiences, there's a larger bucket of problemware audiences there, so you need to understand what pain points are they experiencing. There are different emotions around that. Like, let's say, for example, weight loss. There was a campaign that I ran, actually myself and a number of people ran it like this, but you're focusing on pain points for people that are really overweight that might have a really large gut. So let's say there was an ad of somebody tying their shoes and having difficulty with that. That's an emotional sentiment, right? So if we're identifying what problems people are experiencing, you can tap into the emotional sentiment of that and test different variations of that. So what I like to do is test at least five different emotional sentiments spread out over like 30 ads. So that's about 6 ads per emotional sentiment. Now, to some degree, this can still just be like a baseline approach. So I'm sending out a bunch of different ad variations within 5 different emotional sentiments, and I'm looking for engagement. Okay, and again, if I had to give you some sort of like a number, like how much am I spending, I don't like to go below $50 a day. I know this can be a really broad and complex answer, but after literal hundreds of thousands of dollars of testing, I don't like to go below $50 a day. So again, just take that with a grain of salt. You can test your own budget, but I generally like that to be my baseline. As I'm sending these 30 images out, I am looking for engagement and I am looking for conversions. Now, understand the difference there, because what do I mean by engagement? You can have ads that are now being shared by a lot of people. Maybe they're getting comments on them, they're getting a lot of traffic. However, big asterisk there is that engagement and comments specifically, they don't always equate to qualified buyers. So I am trying to combine that with any conversions that might be lined up. Now, your conversion costs might be a bit high. So if I'm spending $50 a day and my lead acquisition cost, my cost per call booked is maybe between $60 and $120. $120 probably on the higher end of that. I understand that to some degree, if you're not getting enough book calls every day, you might be losing a little bit of money. But our goal in this first phase is not necessarily to just crush and make a bunch of money. Can you hit a winner every now and then? Yes, absolutely, and it's definitely happened. However, I'm not necessarily looking for that. What I am looking for in that first 7 to 14 days, okay, is what kind of numbers am I seeing? Or am I seeing, let's say, 20 conversions? If I've seen 20 conversions over a couple of different ads, I know that those emotional sentiments are probably going to be the ones that I'm going to lead with when it comes to reaching more cold audiences. Now, Here's where the real magic comes in, okay? Because again, I'm not just judging on engagement, I am looking at conversions as well. And a conversion, a lead coming in, is going to have more weight than let's say a comment, right, or a share, okay? What I'm going to do after that 7 to 14 days is I am then going to make video based on that emotional sentiment. I'm not just going to make one video, I'm going to make a variety of videos. I'm going to use different hooks. That's that first opening of the video. Maybe you're opening up with a question, some sort of a compelling statement, maybe some sort of like polarizing statement. Okay, I like to use something called a thought reversal developed by Brandon Lucero, where you're saying something, you're attacking a common perception of your audience. Okay, and then you kind of flip it around in the ad. And again, that's a whole different video that we'll talk about later. But ultimately, you're testing different hooks around that same emotional sentiment. And at this point, objectively, okay, I'm seeing so much better, exponentially better conversions off of video. And so much of it comes all the way back to what I was talking about in the beginning, where audiences now, video allows you to overcome that trust recession that we're in, that trust gap, if you will. Audiences are that much more skeptical of who they are buying from. They are much more sophisticated. They're much better at doing their due diligence, and just having a simple video there allows you to build a much stronger relationship with them. They can see that you're an actual human being. They can hear the humanity in your voice. Now, the great thing about this, okay, understand just where I am up until this point in the strategy. The great thing about this is that these videos can still go out to cold audiences. Notice that I'm not talking about retargeting ads. The way that the AI, the Meta's algorithm is going to work, specifically Meta, that's Facebook and Instagram, okay? The way that it's going to work is that your new videos are going to reach people that have already seen or clicked on or read the copy from your image ads. Maybe they didn't take action because they just didn't like it or whatnot. Maybe they were indifferent about it, okay? But people that engage with it before, they're already going to see that new ad. But now also people that are cold and haven't seen your first image ads, they're going to see these video ads as well. And if they are looking up information about the problem that they're searching for, your video ad is going to be there front and center for them to see. Now, again, the strategy doesn't stop there as well, because we do have more retargeting ads. We have top of funnel videos, middle of funnel, and bottom of funnel videos, right? But just understand what I'm talking about as far as just that testing phase. If you just want to get ads out the door, I'm trying to explain how to use AI ads, and specifically how not to use AI ads. And again, I don't want to get too granular with the entire customer journey, but if you're watching this video, maybe you want to learn more about how to get your ads launched or how to improve your current ads, and maybe you've already been using like AI in some of your ads and you're just like, I don't understand why this isn't working, right? Because we need to understand more of the consumer mentality. If you are a practitioner or like a business or brand owner, you may not live in like the marketing space and you're doing a bunch of market research and whatnot. I understand that. So I'm here to help you understand why your AI ads might not be working. But we need to understand that there are cold people that just don't know you yet, and there's this massive trust recession that's going on. So understand that there is that top of the funnel where people are experiencing you for the first time. You can use AI to test different emotional sentiments, but you really have to sink back in, maybe at the top of funnel or middle of funnel now, right, for videos that are providing more education, right? Helping them have an understanding of who you are, and know that you can help them understand that you can actually help solve their problem. And then you can make further videos, right, where you're actually giving them a call to action, like, hey, click here to learn more. Maybe watch this video, or just straight up click below to book a call, right? So again, marketing and specifically ads, like, it's a very multi-layered ecosystem, if you will. But here's how to use AI ads, and here's how not to. If you are someone that wants a little bit more clarity with your ads, you can click that link in the description below. Feel free to book a free 15-minute call with myself personally, not with a team member or an AI agent, anything like that. If you want to talk shop and having a better understanding of how to get your ads launched, feel free to click that link below. Thank you for watching. My name is Jaron Bruman. I'll see you on the next one.